Hi, everyone. My name is Lessa Kanani'opua Pelayo-Lozada, and I'm a past president of the American Library Association. Welcome to our So You Want to Be series about what it's really like to be an ALA member leader. Across this series of short videos, you'll get information about various leadership opportunities within ALA from the folks who have lived it, loved it, and continue to give back to the American Library Association. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're focusing on the ALA Executive Board, which acts for the ALA Council and the administration of established policies and programs. The ALA Executive Board has fiduciary responsibility for the association, manages the affairs of the association, and delegates management of the day-to-day operations to the executive director. The Executive Board shall make recommendations to the Council with respect to matters of policy. An election to the ALA Executive Board, with the exception of officers, occurs from Council. To talk more about what leadership on the ALA Executive Board looks like, joining me today for So You Want to Be an ALA Executive Board member is Elisa de Campos, the District Manager for the San Francisco Public Library. She currently serves as ALA Counselor at Large, co-chair and president of President-elect Sam Helmick's Presidential Advisory Committee, treasurer of the Rainbow Roundtable, and is a member of the Public Partner Program Steering Committee and the Planning and Budget Assembly. She was an ALA Executive Board member from 2021 to 2024. What a mouthful, and welcome, Elisa.
Thank you, Lessa. It is quite a mouthful, and I apologize.
It's not your fault. You're such a busy person doing all these great things for ALA. So why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about your path to all of these wonderful things in leadership within ALA?
Can do. So I think I can start back in 2013 to 2015. I dipped my toes. So maybe I should back up actually a little bit more. I was selected as a Spectrum Scholar in 2011 to 2012 by ALA, which was amazing. And that was my foot in the door to ALA. I really, hadn't heard that much about the association before. I frankly I applied for the scholarship because I needed it for my MLIS program, for my degree. And I was incredibly happy to be selected. And thankfully, part of that program is to send the Spectrum Scholars to the annual conference during their scholarship year. So, attending that conference and doing the Spectrum Leadership Institute was my foot in the door, my introduction. And it kind of, made me want to learn more about ALA, become more involved, keep going to the conferences.
And so in thinking about kind of the tools and resources that help to prepare you, what are some of those other tools and resources that helped you become prepared to serve as an ALA Executive Board member?
Oh, sure. I did this from the beginning, like when I first started coming to conferences and then becoming more involved within ALA. And so this is my style, but it's served me really well. It continues to serve me well. Within ALA, and pretty much anything that is a volunteer role that I want to become more involved in. I started by shadowing people, or not people, but like the committees and the executive board. Any chance that I had free in my schedule during the Spectrum Leadership Institute, and then afterward with the emerging leaders and stuff. Anytime that I had any free time, I would just look at the scheduler and I would look at committees that interested me as possible future, volunteer opportunities. And I would go and sit in on their meetings. I mean, it says it right there in the scheduler, and your badge gives you access to all the sessions unless they're specifically marked as closed. And I would totally use that, to my advantage, and just kind of shadow people, or shadow, the board, shadow like council, sit in the back, just kind of listen, look at the agenda, pay attention to the cadence and like the rhythm of the meetings, and the procedures about how they're run, how they're structured, what topics are prioritized, what's discussed, etc. So my badge, I guess, was like the biggest resource. And just reading up on, the charges of the committees, what they do. But again, just paying attention to what they did, like the practical day-to-day as much as possible. I talked a lot with colleagues. I've never been really shy about, even if I didn't know anybody in a committee, I would just kind of look them up and connect, or on the web pages for ALA and just see who's on the roster. And if I knew anybody, I'd reach out to them. But if I didn't know anybody, I'd just contact the chair. I mean, you just got, everybody's contact information's on there. And if I'm really interested in volunteering for something, I need to have, ask some questions and figure out exactly what it means. Because I'm also one of those people too, that when I commit to something, I like to commit to it fully. And in order to know if I can do that, I need to know exactly what's involved. Like I want to know exactly what's involved. So, what's the commitment? How often are the meetings? How long are the meetings? What are the expectations, et cetera? So I just, talked a lot with people and just observed a ton, honestly. And then just kind of read up on any reports or anything that got posted in Connect.
So charge of your role is super important, as you said, in learning it either by observing or reading or talking to other folks. Could you talk a little bit about what you would say is the primary role or responsibility of an ALA executive board member?
The most simply put I can put it is the sustainability of the association economically and socially. And by that, I mean, everybody knows that the executive board has fiduciary responsibility, as in the buck literally stops with the board. And we need to do what's right by the association, make sure that it's as healthy as possible, and make sure that it's sustainable. And so we need to think of, revenue streams. We need to think of our messaging. We need to think of continuing to make the association a relevant player in today's landscape, like culturally, politically, socially, and within our communities, across the nation. So I think that's the most succinct I can put it. So, our responsibility is just to look out for the association.
And very well put. So as you're looking out for the association as an executive board member, what skills did you find helpful in your role?
Oh, yeah. Time management, definitely, and again, it goes back to before committing to something, really, really do your homework, see what it's about entirely, not only just showing up for the meetings, but what's the time commitment in terms of reading up on the reports, reading up on the spreadsheets, coming, read up with your homework done to the meetings and thinking already about the questions you're going to ask. So there's a lot of time management involved, just thinking about, okay, you want to do this, can you do this, right? And then, again, just being diligent, making sure that you come to the meetings prepared, come read up, and then just having the ability to listen. I mean, it's obviously if you're on the board, you're there for a reason and you were elected. And so people think that you're up to the task, and you can express your concerns and you can ask all the questions and you can give your opinions, but it's really, really important to also listen. It's been really invaluable to me to spend quality time with such a stellar group of my colleagues and peers, because I've learned so much from them. And so, but it's really, really important to listen to the staff, ask the questions, and then listen for their answers. We're volunteers, the staff are there 24/7, so we really, really need to know what their needs and asks are, and how we can support them. In order, again, because I mean, they're the engine that keeps the association running. And without them, we're nothing, we're nothing without the volunteers, but we're also nothing without the staff. So it's really, really important to listen. And also another really important skill is to be willing to and able to explain the work that we do and the decisions that are being made and the reasoning behind them, because we have a lot of wonderful engaged members who want all the good things for the association. But, I really wish that we could give them everything that they're asking for, but we can't. The reality is that we can't do all the things for everyone, and we can't be all the things for everyone. We have to prioritize. And so it's important to develop the skills to be able to explain why we're doing something and the reasoning behind it. And of course, why we're not doing something and the reasoning behind that.
As a leader, I always try to remember Simon Sinek's like start with why and then go from there.
Yeah.
So in thinking about why and in thinking about in thinking about folks who might want to also take this journey to be an executive board member, what advice do you have for folks who may want to serve in this role in the future? Yeah,
well, first of all, just be informed. I mean, I know that I'm sounding super repetitive right now, but if you have an interest in the board, show up to the meetings. You know, there's always seating for observers in the room. Please take advantage of your badge at conference and show up. The meetings are also open. The monthly meetings are open to members as well online. So find out when those are and tune in. And unless it's specifically a closed session, you can observe and listen to the board. And it'll give you a great idea in terms of what the current priorities are for the association, where we need to be going. And it's just really, really important to like just kind of be informed, really think about the commitment, the time commitment. There's plenty of information in the ALA web pages as well, including the I think in the executive board's like pages or the governance pages, there's definitely information about the roles and responsibilities of the board by position. So depending on whether you want to run for member at large or treasurer or president, you know, all the information is there. And I'm personally happy that it's, I think they've been updated recently. So, you know, you'll see exactly what the commitments are, you know, the monthly meetings, the in-person meetings, et cetera. The liaison responsibilities. And so it's just really, really important to, you know, think about the commitment, think about what the board does, think about whether it's really for you, and think about what you need to perform well on the board. You know, just think about those like interpersonal skills, those communication skills, again, the ability to work well with a group of people. And also the ability to be responsive. You know, it's definitely like, I mean, I would equate it to a part-time job in terms of hours per week. And so it's again, having, you know, when preparing or thinking about running, it's important to really think about the time commitment and, you know, just learning to, you know, check your email a little bit more frequently than the frequently you usually do, because we all kind of do that these days. And being responsive and, you know, being willing to get pulled into like meetings at the last minute sometimes. Not super often, thankfully, but sometimes we have to do that because stuff comes up and we have to be responsive. So I think that, yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I think those are that's the best suggestions that I can give.
Excellent suggestions. And don't forget, folks out there, just like you can email a committee chair, you can also email an executive board member for advice and to ask questions about the role if it's something that you're interested in. So as we close out, my last question for you, Ana Elisa, is what have you found to be most rewarding by serving the American Library Association?
Yeah. Well, on a professional level, it's definitely helped me to develop my skills. You know, I've served on boards before for Rainbow Roundtable, but also for my alumni association as well, presiding over that one as well. But, you know, neither one is quite as large as the American Library Association, right? So it's really helped me to develop my skills in terms of thinking of budgeting for a multifaceted organization where we do have to think about the membership, the conferences, the publications, et cetera, and the sustainability, right? For such a large organization, it's helped me to develop like long-term thinking, you know, in terms of continuing that sustainability for the association. It's helped me to develop skills in terms of, again, just being responsive to members and to, you know, the changing factors in the landscape that might impact our association. And it's definitely, you know, helped me to cultivate that ability to like explain the why, like you said, to members and just demystify quite a lot to membership, which kind of as a public service, as a public library person, that's kind of, I enjoy that a lot. And then on a personal level, it's just been a wonderful experience. I've learned a lot from my peers on the board, again, from their experience, from their perspectives in life, from their insight. We come from different library systems and different backgrounds, and it's just really been a massive learning experience to work with these like stellar group of people. But frankly, personally, the most rewarding for me has been solidifying some friendships that I was already, developing, and also becoming really close friends with people that like I did not know at all before like we all got elected to the board, and we've become really close friends. And that to me is just amazing, because it's those kinds of circumstances in life, right? Like if I hadn't said yes to Patty, and if I hadn't run, and if I hadn't been elected, right? And if it hadn't been during these particular years when these other people happened to be on this board as well. So it's just a series, like it's those situations in life that I really like to savor and just kind of think back on, like, man, I was really lucky. Like I was really lucky. And so it's just been incredibly like fulfilling for me professionally and personally.
Hear, hear. I feel like every iteration of the board and committee that you're on, it's just such a wonderful experience to see the variety of folks and to learn from them, exactly as you said. And so I hope we all get to keep learning from one another within ALA and outside of ALA. And that takes us to the end of this episode of So You Want to Be. Thank you, Elisa, for joining us for So You Want to Be an ALA Executive Board member. And we'll see you all on the next iteration of So You Want to Be. Have a good day.
Thank you, Lessa. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.